Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. So we are going to be doing something a little bit fun for Mermaid, and let's get into it. So I made this painting last year for Mermaid, which is a sunset and sunrise hippocampus. And now I'm going to do something with them again, but instead of doing them together, we are going to separate them. But for this, I'm thinking of just making this one long video, or I might break it up into two. I haven't entirely decided how I want to do this yet, just because I know it's going to be a lot. So I'm also probably going to put it on a larger piece of paper than normal. Well, do I want to do that? I might be. But I don't know yet. I'm also not 100% on how I actually want to do this either, like what drawings I want to do. So I've been debating that. I want to keep like the parents with the babies and then that kind of thing. So it'll be both sunsets and then both sunrises together. I just don't know exactly how I want to do it. So let me see. So I'm thinking I wonder if for sunset I could literally have it going down. Ooh, hold up. All right, hold on. Let me. Travel. So it could be kind of like they're looking at the wonders that appear after sunset. Ooh, I gotta make glowy animals. So I could have them traveling downwards with sunset, and then just have some of their underwater world kind of coming to life a little bit more, just like some animals kind of hanging out with, and then stuff kind of turning into like glowing, like I don't want to say like glowworms, but like that kind of stuff where it's like super dark. So I think I'm gonna stick with that. It's still gonna not be entirely night, like the sun's still gonna be setting, but it's not gonna be super night yet. So it's gonna be somewhat darker. Sunrise, maybe I kind of want to have them going up if we're going to do that. So, which kind of makes sense. All right, so if we go up, now maybe I could have it where we have another wall, but animals coming out. Right, so it's kind of like waking up. Maybe some dolphins or such. Yeah, I know. Kind of doing that. So then you have this, and then obviously the sun is rising kind of thing. I think that'll be kind of fun to do it that way. So they're still slightly different, but we'll see. So these two are a dark purple. And then I'll have to actually go back and like really look at the painting so I can kind of see what I did, because it's been a while since I really sat there and like looked at them. I just know I made these two darker than the other two. And then she's a light yellow. We're at orange. light purple. Okay, so I think for the background, I do want blue, obviously. I feel like blue too, I'll just put blue now. For right now, just for glowing purposes. Okay, so then I'll grab a gray for the rock. Just kind of a darker one. Okay, so there's that. And now I think I do want to try and keep some of the colors in here for other stuff, I think. I think overall I will add a little bit more. It's just right now, while I'm trying to do this. Right, because I gotta have the water getting darker. I'll also just hit it up, I think, with like dark green. Just for algae and stuff. Okay, so I'll leave that there. And now for them, same thing. This is gonna be kind of interesting for me to do this, but it should be fun, I think. I also might just make this one long video. I don't know. It's gonna be a long video. But I think it'll be easier than me trying to split it. But I'm like, ugh. See, I don't know what the best option is. I'll have to think about it. So there's that. So I kind of want to keep all these colors the same, I think, for both sides, but just make them lighter versions, you know, kind of thing. I think is what I might end up doing. So let me write that down. So I'll put okay, so I'll put water. All right, I think that's what we're gonna go with. I think it'll be kind of interesting and fun. And that way they're still slightly different. But I guess I really might make them just two different videos. So I'll probably put the sunrise or sunset, then sunrise, I suppose. So I'll do a part 1, part 2. Probably just post them on the same day, but just, it's probably what I'll end up doing, so they're together. But with that, let's get started, at least on sunset, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so what I have decided, before we actually get into talking about this, is I'm going to split this up into 2 videos, because this is already kind of a long video as is, and I just want to split them up to kind of both give them a special viewing, so that way we can focus on one and then the other. So first up, we're going to hit the Sunset Hippocampus, because he's personally my favorite. I think I've said before in like other videos, I'm preferential to darker colors. Like I personally I have black furniture because I think it looks super nice. I'm not a fan of white or like light colors pretty much, unless it's like a lime green, which I do have for like accent colors, but for the most part, I'm partial to dark colors. So he turned out to be my favorite. So I was like, oh, we're just going to do him first. So we'll do the sunrises tomorrow. So it'll be literally posted on Sunday, which is the day after this video, is when they'll be there. So that way, if you want to watch the second part, you're more than welcome to. They will be up. Anyway, back to this. So I kind of like to try and keep in the theme of like sunset and sunrise, so sunset, you know, going down. So for this one, with the drawing wise, what I wanted was, I did want to have them pointing downwards as the sun's going down, which you'll see like at the end of the video what I mean. But I wanted them going downwards, kind of like how the sun does, and they're kind of seeing their underwater world coming alive, which you'll see these little animals I made actually glow, like they're glow in the dark animals pretty much, because I kind of just wanted to give like a little look at what goes on when the sun goes down kind of thing. So that's what this was. So it's kind of just a part of that, just to start that fun little bit. And I was trying to add in like some details and like coral reef and rock and stuff. I didn't do a whole bunch because obviously I want a lot of the focus on the hippocampus himself versus the background, because I know being underwater, there's so much that you can do with it because there's like so many different options. I mean, you can even put like, wreckages, treasure chests, shells, clams, like all this kind of stuff, a whole bunch of other little sea creatures. Like you can do a whole bunch of things with these. But I just did kind of like bare minimum with some coral on the rock. And I did some slugs, some tiny fish. Then I have an eel in there. I did a little angler fish. There's some jellyfish. And I think that was it for like the extra little animals I did, because again, I want the main focus on our hippocampus here, which is what I was doing. Now, I personally think the adult hippocampus turned out better than the baby one. That's just my opinion. The adult to me just looks so much better. I don't know. I mean, they literally look the same, but the adult just turned out better. It's weird. So probably of all of them, he would be my favorite versus even like the little baby, but the adults I also kind of gave a little bit more because I kind of gave them markings. I was trying to give them markings like mimic the clouds, So I'm like, it didn't really work, but I'm like, so it looks like stripes, but I was trying to mimic kind of cloud looking things, and it is a whole thing. I tried. They still turned out fine. I'm pretty happy with them overall. I think they look good. But like the little sea creatures, I didn't really put a whole lot of detail in them because, again, I don't want them overshadowing the hippocampus because they're the main focus. So I kind of just did like bare minimum with them, just some little outlines, some little looks, but no real details on them just because they're there. So here's the finished drawing. As you can see, like I said, the adult is so much better. Like even coloring wise, which you'll see here in a couple minutes, oh my gosh, I was so happy with his coloring. The adult hippocampus sunset one, he's the best. He is the best of all four. I am so happy with him, even with the way I did the shading and stuff. And I'm like, OMG, he is my favorite. Anyway, so color-wise, so most of the colors I picked I wanted to have their three colors that they were. So we have purple for the rocks. I have yellow and red in there as well, just to kind of add in the coloring. And then I have a green and blue in there just to kind of add a tiny bit more, but also the blue's there to help with the sea creatures to kind of make them look like they're glowing. And the green I added in there just to kind of have for that fact. I also made them darker colors. And then when you watch the sunrise one, you'll see that they're lighter colors. So it's opposites in that way as well. Not just coloring, but in those colors. But they're literally opposites the whole time, which I'm fine with. But I thought it would be good just to kind of keep these colors nice and dark, just to kind of still differentiate between the sun going down and the sun coming up kind of thing, because obviously it's going to be lighter or darker. So I stuck with dark on this one. Obviously not too dark where you can't see anything. Like I still made sure you could see stuff, especially with the glowing animals. Obviously that helps because areas around them, I tried to make it look like it's glowing. Obviously when I finish it in the digital part, you'll see a lot better what I mean. It's just right now, traditionally, I'm just trying to at least put the shadows where they need to go, or at least where I think they are. So that way I can help myself when I put in the extra light and stuff. The yellow to get it dark is I actually added a light brown, as you can see there, which I actually kind of like. I think it works really well. Like if you can see on the hippocampus here, I used yellow and that light tan color, and it worked just fine for the shading. So I thought it looked pretty good together. Dude, coloring the rocks. It was a little bit difficult because I have so many like little creatures, but I have to look out for the lighting as well. On top of it, having to keep it dark on like around it too. I'm like, oh, this is such a mess. But when I was doing these scales here, I kind of like how I did it where when I was doing the marker, I would kind of dot the scales like towards the end just to make it look like scales. And I'm like, oh, this actually looks really, really cool. So overall, he turned out really nice. I'm like, I love it. Especially like in the tail area, when we get to the end, if you look in the tail area, even the way I did the shading with the sun coming through, I'm like, oh my gee. I'm like, this turned out so good. So he just turned out really well. So I'm kind of glad that I was able to do the best I could with him. The little baby's a little different. He's mostly in shadow because of how further down he is, and he's kind of like a lot more flat looking than the adult one, because adult one's, going up and he's curved and stuff. So he's got like different lights hitting him between the sun and the sea animals. So he has a little bit more going for him in that area. Versus the baby, where the baby's mostly dark, except for a little bit underneath, like on his belly area and stuff, because he's got some little sea creatures underneath him, or like they're underneath off to the side, if you will. So he's still getting hit with some of the light, but not kind of quite how the adult is. So still a little different. But no, I don't blend out the markers. I never really learned how to because I just didn't really bother to learn. But I also use the pencil, so I almost kind of like it because it kind of gives like different layers when I color without me having to sit there and like really struggle with doing that. It's just a little bit easier for me, so I don't have to kind of sit there and mess with that. And for me, it just works out better. There are times though I could probably do it because it comes up like too much for the pencil sometimes, but it's just the way that it works, and it's fine. Like here, I think it actually worked really well because of the scaling pattern that I was doing, and I think it makes sense, or like with the fins and like adding in a little bit of the detail with the fins to try and keep them lighter in the middle like how they should be. No, because fins are see-through, and just adding in those like stretched lines with how I have it. So at that point, I'm like, shading it's not really going to help me that much because I'm like, it looks better like this where there's not really any blending. So it's kind of like a give or take, you know. It's just different things are needed at different times, but it's all right. Overall, it all still works out in the end. So like, again, I'm pretty happy with the way he turned out. But you could probably see why he's my favorite. Even the yellow, I actually kind of made it like a gold on accident, which I'm not mad about because I feel like it's a darker yellow than like the lighter yellow, because I needed the light and dark yellow for both Sunset Hippocampus because he's a darker yellow. So it actually kind of works. He's almost like a gold color type of thing going on. And this right here was my favorite part, was this blending with the marker. I'm like, oh, that's great. But this paper I have, I do not like. It's like a poster board because one side's smooth, the other side was kind of like normal paper. I still don't like it. I used the normal paper side. I was not a fan of this. I was like, okay, never again. I just wanted it because I had it, so I was like, I wanted to try it. But I was not a fan because I needed the paper kind of bigger. I probably could have gone smaller like my normal size, but I was like, I got both of them in here. But this is the pencil or the marker, so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. But I needed them somewhat bigger. So I was like, ugh, what am I going to do? So I just used this paper because I had it, but yeah, I just don't like it. So I don't know what else I'll use it for. I mean, I'll probably end up figuring something out to do with it. Like, if I want to do like another large drawing or something, I can use it. But it would not be my normal paper of choice because I don't know, it just was weird. I think it's because with the pencils, this probably shouldn't be an issue, but I guess for me it kind of was. I didn't really have to blend the pencils at the end like how I normally would, except for a while I actually kind of stopped because I kind of realized like they were blending okay on their own. So that might be, which I probably should like that because it's like a little less work, but I kind of don't. I don't know. That's just me. I feel maybe it's just because I blend like too much and it just looks like I didn't really do a whole lot. I don't really know, whatever it is, but ugh. I mean, it still turned out fine, don't get me wrong. Like, the end result was okay. But it was just like, as I was drawing on the paper, I'm like, not a huge fan, but this is what I have. So I'm like, okay. Again, it's not too bad. They still turned out fine, but yeah, even going back in with the pencil around these little animals, oh, that was a struggle bus. Because it's like, I kind of have to remember, especially when they're on both sides, like how these two fish are. When they're on both sides like that, or on multiple sides, like all around that coral. I'm like, the corals are really getting hit with multiple different light sources at once. And I'm like, where did the shadows go? Because obviously it's going to be somewhere because, you know, it's 3D. It's got a whole bunch of like little pieces coming off of it and like all that stuff. So I was like, oh, what am I doing here? This coral wasn't that bad. This was actually a lot easier because a lot of it is pretty flat or it's just in shadow like how it should be. So it's just the whole event of like trying to figure this out as you go sometimes. But that's just the name of the game. That's how it is. Not a big deal. It's also just kind of a good exercise for me because I don't really do lighting like this, like at all. Like I'm trying to branch out more with the way I do lighting at times just to kind of help myself get a little more practice, be a little more diverse with it. So it was good overall. Again, it kind of makes you think a little bit, which isn't a huge problem because sometimes it's good to think. Like other times you can kind of just do the normal flow and it's just muscle memory. Like, you don't have to think about it too much. Other times you kind of do have to think, which overall can be a good thing to do because obviously thinking and critical thinking skills are very important. And this is kind of one of my thinking skills coming into place of, okay, where's this lighting going with all these different things happening right now? I still made it work. But the little animals look good, so I was pretty happy with those. I didn't really do a whole lot with the lighting. It's just the way I colored it, like here with this lighter pencil and then doing the darker around it. I did kind of make it look like they were glowing, so that's like an easy way for me to do that without having to try anything too difficult to do. And just kind of doing like a little bit because there's like some things I still don't want to do like lighting wise because I'm scared I'm going to mess it up traditionally. So I'll wait until I can do the digital portion because obviously I can restart over again and it's not going to affect the official drawing, which I like doing. So again, still playing around with it, still learning, but still turned out pretty good in the end. With these scales, I think I did manage to kind of somewhat do it a little bit. Again, I think because the pencil was blending like way more than normal, I couldn't get the scale effect. I think is also why I just was not the biggest fan of it because the marker turned out so well with the scaling. And then adding in the pencil, it kind of just took away a little bit of it. So overall, again, it was okay. But could have been probably a little bit better. It still helped with me not having to do the extra blending, but there's still times I'm like, I feel like I think that's what some people have problem with Prismacolor is that they blend, it's because they're wax, they like blend too much and they don't stand out from one another, which I can understand. But a way around that, to be honest, is just using different colors that you probably wouldn't normally use for shading and it helps. So, I don't know. That's just some personal opinion of mine. Like overall, it still works out just fine. I guess I did still blend a little bit, but I think mostly to help with the indigo blue I like using to finish off the shadows. The part on his nose when I do it with the pencil actually turned out really cool because of the way it blended out. I was like, oh, this is actually pretty neat. But overall, it turned out fine. I actually did forget in the marker that I had to do the lighter end because of a little fish there. And I said, oh no. So then I had to like correct it with the pencil to make sure I was doing it right. Which because I use a cream color for the yellow for like the highlight color. I actually was able to make it work with how it should. So that way I could fix it and get it corrected how it needed to be. So it was fine. But it's still just like a process. Because again, it's like when you're doing lighting like this, you kind of have to remember what you're doing and where their stuff's going. But it's also like the little fish don't reach all the way to the back. So like some of them still going to be in shadow. So it's an adventure of being like, okay, how much is too much shadow? Where does it need to go? That kind of thing. So it's just, it's like one thing after the other, but that's all right. That's just what adds to like the whimsy and the layering and like a 3D effect, I guess, of drawing. But again, overall, super happy with this. OMG. So now here's the fun part of me adding in these final lines, which means that we're almost done. So what I will say is if you want to see more from me, I have a whole bunch of series. I do comics, which I have currently 13 comics. I'm still only have like 11 out at the moment, and I've still got to work on the other 2. I do elements, seasons, OCs, I do Patreon paintings, I do all kinds of things. If you want to stick around and see more of what I do, because I try to upload weekly. It's just this double upload is a rare thing because I split the videos up into 2 and I was debating on how I want to do this. So I figured we'll post one today, one tomorrow, call it good. So that's what I'm still going to do. This is me just adding back in some more of the shadows, which I also love doing. Sometimes I get like way too carried away with this and I'm like, oh, I did too much, but I'm like, I'm not going to fix it. So this is what I mean with making it dark, but not like too dark, because again, obviously with the way the lighting is and the sun, I still have to share some of it. It still turned out so good, but here's the ending. So you can kind of see where I did make some of it darker as I should, along with like the lighter jellyfish and the animals. But it just turned out so well, so I'm pretty happy with how they turned out. Ooh, and this makes me happy. But this is the end of part 1, so come back tomorrow for part 2 if you want to see our little sunrise. And please let me know which one is your favorite. But with that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!